Should we do a style guide? Should we do it? Should we do a style guide? We're going to do a style guide. Everyone, prepare yourselves. Okay? Listen the fuck up. Excuse my language. We're going to do a style guide. I'm going to hit this button. Stream marker. Got him. How to do this style. I'm going to show you. Shh, be quiet. Get your pencils and papers. Pencils and papers. Oops. Roach. Rav. Muffin. No, that's too long. Roach, Ravager, Swarmhost. I think we should put spaces. Shit. Got him. Oh, shit. Got him. Perfect. Okay. Roach, Ravager, Swarmhost. Pen is okay, only if it's a pineapple apple pen, dude. Alright, I'm going to teach you a style. I did a good instance of this earlier today. This is a Roach, Ravager, Swarmhost. I'm just going to talk through the build and stuff. I know a lot of people, they're like, I want to build. Here's a style and a build that you can do. It's not a perfect game, but this one went comparatively well for me. It's a Zerg versus Protoss. This is a Zerg versus Protoss style. You could say that if you're maybe Diamond or lower, you could just copy this and do it in all three matchups, but this one is specifically optimized against Protoss. So let's go step by step here. 13 Overlord rallied to the natural, heading toward the third to check for cannon rush and stuff. Proxy Zealot, Gateway. All of those nasty cheeses. I named this Overlord Francisco, the funny business Overlord, so you can see what's going on. Oscar, the first Overlord. His job is to just fly across the map, confirm there's a second base, and then just chill here. Unless there's no research on the Cyber Core, you can see if it's flashing or not, then he'll fly into the main to check for a Stargate or Twilight. So, there's a probe. I was going to 17 hatch, but there was a probe here that blocked it. So I'm just going to go take my second base here at this third base location. Fantastic. No harm, no foul. I'm not even upset. I'm just going to adjust. Made 2 more workers, then I'm going to go 18 gas and 17 pool. Hatch gas pool. Super, super standard. Just with the adjustment of taking the second base at the third base location. Now I'm going to make more drones from the larva, and I should rally those into the gas. Just make it nice and easy. And I believe I will pull 1 worker. Yep. So it's 3 out of 3 in the gas, 1 more drone, so we're back to 16. And then I'm going to make an Overlord. Right? Yes, 19 Overlord. So I have an Overlord here by my second base. I just made another Overlord. Mainly I want to see if that probe is going to stay there. And when this hatch and pool are done, I want to make 2 queens and 6 lings. Normally you would go 2 queens and 4 lings, but because it's a little bit more difficult to defend adept pressure and whatnot, I'm going to go for 6. Ling speed, 2 queens. Fantastic. And then we should be back to droning. The probe is still there. I'm rallying my lings to that location. You see how the Cyber Core isn't flashing? That means they're spending their gas elsewhere. This is pretty cheap. It's only 50 gas. So they would normally delay this if they were going to get a Stargate. I'm just going into the main to confirm that that's there. And also to see what unit is coming out next. Let's see if we can contrast it whenever it starts flashing. Yeah, you see how it's flashing now? So you can see whether it's researching based on if it's blinking and stuff. Okay, so I'm taking a creep tumor first at this third base. This is a way to offset the inconvenience of having this as my second base that I had to take out the third, just to get everything connected. It's a lot easier to defend stuff if you have creep connection between your bases, and that should basically always be your first priority when it comes to spreading creep. Priority number 1 is to connect all the bases. Priority number 2 is usually to push mid-map, and then priority 3 is to push your third. I think that's a reasonable one. You could also fill this with a tumor as well. This is a bit of a lucky catch for me. He's kind of going for this drone and I end up surrounding it. I would say this is something that you can't always rely on, but it's nice. And I did have the correct setup here to be able to punish a mistake like that. So it was a mistake, but the idea is you want 2 queen 6-lings and you want to try to stop the adept. The queen should stay at their respective bases as well. They shouldn't be running from the main to the third or vice versa. Making another overlord at 36. I can see this Stargate. Link speed is almost done. I'm making all drones now. Just trying to rush in the macro game. Go macro, go. Spread creep. The lings are going to bump the wall and see what's up. This is a scout. Oh, it's open. Oh, it's closed. There's an adept. Who knows? 3 minutes 30, you refill the gas in the main. Another queen. I don't know whether it's Oracle or Phoenix because the Stalker killed my Overlord, so I'm just going to drop a Spore to defend Oracle. Oracle first is more lethal. Phoenix is more to deny scouting, but there is a Stalker. Going Stalker and Phoenix can happen, but it is on the silly side. Okay, I'm going for a Spore at this base. I prioritized the Spore at the natural last because I had almost no workers there. Pull the workers away from the pressure. That's kind of a general thing. Killing that is nice. Now we're just trying to inject. Then I'm just holding down the drone button. I took my lair at 340 as a reference. I think I forgot to mention that. 340 lair. You could take it at 350. It's not that bad. The things that you want the lair for 1, just moving your tech along, which is important. For 2, unlocking Roach speed and Overseer. Roach speed allows you to defend a lot of the gateway-based attacks. You can just run between your bases and stop them if there's things being worked in the main or the third or whatever. Roach speed is a really nice upgrade. And Overseer allows you to either scout or defend DTs. DT Prism is a very good opening. I wouldn't call it a risk anymore. It used to be kind of in Wings where it was like, if the opponent doesn't have detection, then we win. If they do, we lose. Whereas now, with the use of the Prism with DTs, you can just make Archons and pressure with that, and it's a very solid opening. So I'm droning as fast as I can. I think I'm stopping at 60. Yeah, 59. Right around 59 to 60 is a really good point to stop making drones for a little bit and make some Roach Queens. So I made 5 Overlords. That's a lot more than usual because Roaches and Queens are very supply hungry. So I want to make plenty of room for activities here. 3 Queens at a time is another good thing to do once you have your saturation. That's going to allow me to try to defend this Prism and also keep my bases injected. It's really important to make extra queens. In pretty much every matchup, ZvZ, it's not quite as important. Partially because queens are really bad against roaches. Queen should always focus the Prism if they have the choice. They have more range against air units, and they have more damage. More DPS, that is. So the roaches should be fighting the ground stuff. The queen should pretty much always be hunting the Prism. The Warp Prism used to be even stronger in early Legacy of the Void. They specifically nerfed the health on the Prism, so queens had a better chance at killing it. The pickup range is still the same as it's been, which is a lot. They buffed the pickup range in Legacy. Okay, so now we're just continuing to drone. I'm taking range attack, infestation pit, and the goal here is to go Roach Ravager so I don't die, and then Swarmhost so I have a consistent way to chip away at my Protoss opponent. And the objective here, if you're thinking about the big picture, is to get creep spread to mid-map, so that gives you options for which base you want to attack with your Swarmhosts. Gives you a lot of mobility, a lot of information. It's not like Hydra Bane, where you have a bunch of really fast explosive damage that's more mobile. This is a slower army. Swarmhost got a nerf where they're slower off creep than they used to be, so they are a fairly creep dependent unit. So if you're going for Roach Ravager Swarmhost, you want to make sure you have plenty of queens. So I have 6. I think I lost one. 6 to 7 would be good. You could even go up to 8. You just want to make sure that they're all doing something. And breaking rocks is really good for Zerg, especially for roaches. Roaches take up a lot of space. So things that choke up the map are going to make roaches worse. Same thing with hydras. If you're against AoE, storms or colossi or whatever, you want to make sure the map is as open as possible. So I'm making roaches, taking +2 ranged. The Swarmhost count that I have is 9. 9 Swarmhosts. And now I'm making Ling Roach Ravager, just so my ground army is more formidable. My supply lead is good. My creep spread is reasonable. It's not amazing, but it's going some places. Making some spines. Injecting some bases. Fantastic. Breaking some rocks. And now I get to make a happy sandwich with my opponent. So I have Swarmhost on the bottom side, Roach Ravager on the top side. Setting up traps like this is quite good. And the reason for that is you don't want them to just book it and run away. You want to make a sandwich. So this is a sandwich. During this I'm making spines so I could defend Zealot run by. I have my queens in the main, so I can defend Warp Prism. You can see them up here. Queens in the main. There's 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And I have bases coming up. My 4th base is up. This is in case they just send some Zealots around the map. The spines will buy me time to go and defend that. And then one final note here is it's 3 Corrosive Biles to kill a Prism. So if this ever goes into warping mode, this army can kill that, which is good. Boom. Got him. Got him. So I want to keep everything injected. A follow-up to this, you could go for Hive, Hydra Den, and then eventually Broodlords or something. You can also add Nidus to it, and say Nidus some Swarmhosts here, throw them into the main. Nidus here, throw Locusts over to the 3rd base. Yeah, that's the idea. And the opponent is dead now. But that's basically the idea. Ling Queen early to defend Adepts. Roach Ravager mid to defend big gateway attacks. And then Swarmhost is your icing on the cake to trade really efficiently and chip away at the Protoss army. Creep spread is very important with this. You should go for 7 queens. Keep the bases injected every time. 4th base at around, 7 or 8 minutes, depending on the game flow. Your lair should be at 340 to 350, same with the Roach Warren. 330 spores against Oracle, 4-minute spores against Phoenix first. That's basically it. There's your Roach Ravager Swarmhost guide style thing.